the point being here, the Mavericks defense is awful right now.
It's not good.
It's not good. And last night they gave up a $127 to the Washington Wizards. Let me say that again. A $127 to Washington.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yep.
This is also a team that on multiple occasions has given up over 130 points. In fact, they had a 3-game streak of giving up over 130 points. 2 of those came against the Portland Trail Blazers.
Oh, that's a team that gets buckets.
They do, but a $130?
It's a lot. It's a lot of points.
That's a lot of points.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the conversation around the Mavericks right now is, well, what the hell's going on? Mavericks 25-24 right now, about to play 7 of their next 9 games on the road. But the defense, which was a strong point for this team last year, has not been so this year. And people, Reg, have pointed to the injuries of Maxi Kleber, Dorian Finney-Smith, Josh Green. Maybe as to some of the reason why this defense has struggled. JaVale McGee.
Basically admitting that they understand that you only have a few dudes who are good at defense, and when they're not there, the defense is supposed to fall off the table. Is that what we're doing here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
But I said, well, let me do a little deeper dive here. What's really going on here?
Mm-hmm.
So I said, let me go back and look at Jason Kidd and his first couple of seasons at his other stops.
Okay.
Now, he only, of course, had the one season in Brooklyn where his defense in his one and only year there was ranked, was 20th in defensive rating. Okay.
So just at the top of the bottom third.
Yes.
Okay. Got you.
Now, his first year in Milwaukee, the Bucks were 4th in defensive rating.
Which is good.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Really good.
Mm-hmm.
Second year, though, 23rd in defensive rating. It's not great.
No, not at all. And of course, that's a year where he gets fired.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he wound up playing a couple more seasons. He got fired in the middle of his 4th season.
That's right.
In Milwaukee.
But we started going downhill then.
Yeah, and they only were 19th when he got fired at the time, when he was fired halfway through the season there.
Thank you.
In his first year with Dallas, of course, defensive rating was 6th. Right now, the Mavericks defensive rating, 26th in the NBA.
They slide to 26th? Oh, okay, it's tied for 25th at this point, I think.
So it's around, I think, 115, 116.
Yeah, 115.6.
Right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just wondering. Well,
it is not good swaggy booties.
What's the deal with Jason Kidd in the second year?
Oh, and a reminder for everybody, there's 30 teams in the NBA.
There's only 30. Yeah, there's 30 teams in the league.
Yeah, just in case.
And your Mavs right now are, in the lower third, bottom 3 darn near in defensive rating. So is this a Jason Kidd problem? Or is this we don't have enough dudes who can defend consistently on a night-to-night basis, and that's why you're seeing the dip in defensive rating?
The Jason Kidd notion of it is interesting just because remember when he got hired, that was right around the time when Mirren Fader was putting out her book on Giannis. Very good book, by the way. I enjoyed it quite a bit. If you like basketball, it's worth a read. Within that book, obviously, Giannis is on those Milwaukee Bucks teams that Jason Kidd comes in on. And there's a lot of stories and storytelling that happens about the times with Jason Kidd and the way that he related to players. And it wasn't always very good, especially in that second season where you had, Larry Sanders, who was a center for that team who dealt significantly with mental health issues and ultimately left the league and left the team behind those issues, right? You had I think there was a notorious story about they had a game before Christmas Day or on Christmas or something, and they were supposed to have time off after Christmas. And after they lost, Jason Kidd came in and basically with all these guys having, vacation plans or whatever, was like, nah, we practicing. Basically. Like that is the type of like player management that, kind of plagued him there. I don't think that's what's happening here because it does seem like players are still in on the process and all of those things. So I can't say it's that. But the thing that I've constantly hung on to is just the dudes that you have on the court. And that's the stuff that's easier for me anyways because that's the stuff that I can actually see and point to. I can't talk about what's happening behind closed doors and all those other things. But what I can see is the dudes and the capabilities. KG, You were mentioning at one point that you think that last season and the heights that they reached was the peak of what these guys were capable of doing.
That's right.
One thing that I always talk about is the ages of some of these guys that you have on there. Dorian Finney-Smith has maximized the hell out of what he is. I think you might just be having some regression in him.
Oh boy.
In Reggie Bullock.
Oh boy.
In Maxi Kleber. And if your entire defense is based on everybody is going to be on a string doing, everybody's going to be doing the things that they need to be doing at the right time, all together, synchronized. But you have guys that are losing a step, guys that weren't great to begin with at everything, losing a step, and missing a lot of time, messing up that synchronicity. Yeah, what do you expect? Like, I think all of those things factor in together, and now you have a team that's not going to be able to play great defense. And I don't think there's a magic wand, and I don't think there's a want-to button getting you out of that.
I love what the 254 did, because they must have been in like our phone conversation earlier, because this is going to get Reg going here, and I love it.
Oh, no.
The Mavs' best defensive player is out right now. No wonder the defense is suffering. To which I believe the 254 on the chartred.com text line is referring to one Maxi Kleber. Now, it's funny you brought that up, 254, because I was mentioning to my partner here,
oh God,
that there may be something to that, which to me said what?
Ain't no way. I might have added some extra words in there. Don't worry about that. We're on radio right now. Ain't no way that you telling me that Maxi Kleber, by his lonesome, is the reason why this defense falls off the table. Like, honestly, I don't think that there's a team in the league, in the NBA right now, where you lose a single player and the entire defense falls off of a table. Right? Like, let me take, for example, a team that people like to say the Mavericks absolutely dismantled, the Utah Jazz of last year. That was a team that had one dude that played defense. Right? One dude, Rudy Gobert. I don't even think that team falls in the way that they do as precipitously just because Maxi Kleber is not there. Like, you're not going to convince me. I'm sorry. That Maxi Kleber is solid. He does what he needs to do, especially when he's on, hitting threes, helping space, protecting the rim at 6'10", as a dude who's not viewed as a jumper. Like, he does a lot of good things. He is not the entire reason why your defense is not capable of being viable. You cannot convince me of that.
It's very interesting, and I tend to think that Maxi is their most versatile defender. He can guard multiple positions on the floor, and when you look at what he has been able to do and what they have asked him to do over the years in guarding multiple positions, he's done it fairly decently.
And also, if all it takes is one dude for the defense to fall apart, ain't that an issue?
Now that's
let's assume you're right.
There we go.
Oh,
now,
my goodness.
Yes. Now we're getting there, because that to me is the larger point here. If that is the case, that if Maxi Kleber is the one that you look at and say the defense is falling apart because he is not there, then now we have a bigger problem, because that means roster construction is extremely poor.
But I think ultimately that's where you land on anyways.
Yes, and you can get there in a multitude of ways by looking at how this roster is put together, whether it be some of the lack of things that we see on the defensive end, or what do you say they may be missing on the offensive end, whatever the case may be. But again, I think that's why this discussion is fascinating, because whether it's a Jason Kidd issue and just something that goes awry during the second year, or there's legitimate reason with some of the players that have been missing, or have we in some ways underestimated the importance of Maxi Kleber on this team? And that's something that I'll need to find out and ask around about. Is or have we underestimated the importance of Maxi Kleber defensively to this team?
And look, I will give a concession on this way. Maybe Maxi Kleber is the quarterback of the defense, right? There's some dudes that someone mentioned Sean Lee to make a cross-sport reference, right? There was a point in time where Sean Lee was not even just the best player on the defense, right? But the dude who had kind of that floor general type situation where he was helping get guys in the right places and make sure that the call from the sideline gets to the field and is executed properly, right? Maybe Maxi Kleber is that guy. Maybe he's Draymond Green-esque, where he is the brain on the court when it comes to the defense and he helps everybody be on the same accord. I'm still very worried if that's entirely on his shoulders and you have nobody else on your team that's capable of pulling that together as well.
I'm gonna ask around about that because I want to know what they feel like they're missing or what they believe they have with him on the floor versus what they don't have him on the floor, because there's something amiss here. Maybe it's not just want to or effort. Maybe schematically something is going awry for this defense, because this has been horrendous over the last several weeks now when it comes to their inabilities to stop anyone. And part of this too, and we haven't even really touched on this, the lack of resistance in the paint, and what you thought you were going to get from JaVale McGee, you have not been able to get it because he can't even get on the floor at this point for this team. So there's a lot of things that you can point to and say why this defense is playing the way that it is. But
and real quick before we go, when you talk about second year for Jason Kidd, I do wonder, because like again, it's very much, at least for this team with this Mavs, it's very much been everybody does what they need to do within the concept of the defense and will make it go. Nobody, like, I know we do this in football, and I'm not even sure how right it is. Oh man, the league has figured them out. Maybe, just maybe, the league, as they have, gone through various different ways of attacking a team, they learn more about how to attack your team in particular, especially a team that was on national TV when it came to Western Conference Finals, when a lot of teams were sitting at home, and everybody is watching these games and taking note of these games, especially as Luka is a superstar in the league that everybody wants to gun for, and you're also a team that was one of the Final Four. Yeah, I think teams are going to make sure that they know how to beat you, and I think that also could factor in.